Trump has got the worst witch's brew of economic policy ever presented since I've been following this since 1970. We've got a trade war on consumers that's not going to help. We have a border war on immigrant labor that we need. We have a political war on the Fed that's finally belatedly trying to normalize interest rates and shrink its balance sheet. And we literally have a war on the solvency of the country. He inherited a $700 billion deficit in year 10 of a recovery that was already long in the tooth, added $500 billion from tax cuts, putting $100 billion more into the swamp of waste in the Pentagon, paying for it by adding $60 billion domestically to buy off the Democrats. This is insane. This policy will bring down the economy, which is already on its last leg.
But David, you can't say that with certainty today. Maybe in hindsight in 2 or 3 years you'll be able to, but so far those tactics are working. The economy has grown faster than people expected when he took office.
That's not true. That's spin. That's cherry picking the data. If you look at the first 25 months under Trump, average job creation, 205,000 a month. Take the last 25 months under Obama, average job creation, 213,000 a month.
That's not what I'm saying.
There's no acceleration.
No, I didn't say there was. It's faster at this stage of a long economic cycle than people had been predicting when he took office. I'm not comparing. It doesn't
matter what they've been predicting.
There are improvements. I mean, wage growth went to 3%. We didn't get that during the Obama economy.
We had 1 quarter of 4%, mainly on the back of pull forward of exports because of the trade war looming and because consumers drew down their savings rate because they got a tax cut. But here are the facts. If you take the first 9 quarters, including Q1, based on what the New York Fed is now predicting for GDP for Q1, average real final sales in 9 quarters under Trump will be 2.52%. In the last 9 quarters of Obama, it was 2.50. Nothing is happening except the cycle is getting older and older, and we're now 3 months from the record in history that came from the 1990s when there were a lot of headwinds and no tailwinds, when you didn't have Europe falling apart, when you didn't have 40 trillion of debt in China and, you know,
But to put the comparison with President Obama aside, growth has been higher than people forecasted at the point that he took office. The only thing I think you can say with certainty now is he hasn't collapsed the economy. Maybe it will.
It's coming.
But you can't say that for certainty.
Yes, you can. You can say it
with...
David,
How with certainty?
I will say, you have been on this show and other shows before warning of financial collapse.
You know what? But wait a minute. But you know why?
And we haven't seen it.
Okay, you can say it with certainty because no one has outlawed recessions. Okay, we are at the 116-month point of this cycle. A recession is going to happen 5 months or 10 months or 20 months down the road. And when you have a $1.2 trillion deficit on the eve of a recession at the top of the cycle, you're going to have a $2 trillion deficit when the revenue collapses. Now, the only thing you're saying, and I have to just say this point about the fantasy land down here in the stock market, is that somehow we're going to escape a recession for years and years and years, and we're going to keep adding to this debt, and the Fed is going to normalize interest rates and shrink their balance sheet, and nothing bad is going to happen. That's delusional. The only people who are as delusional as Trump, who is totally delusional, I think, are the people down in the stock market.
What about Larry Kudlow? You hired him in the Reagan administration.
And back then he was sound. He believed in sound money and balanced budgets. Today, you know, he wants the Fed to print money. And
but I don't think anyone here is saying that we think there'll never be a recession again. I'm just saying you can't say with certainty that that's going to happen immediately.
I think you can.
Separately,
but wait a minute. I think you can say that if you're going to put huge inflationary forces into the economy at this late stage of the cycle, and we're taxing $250 billion from China at 12%, if you're going to put a 25% tariff on cars, which have absolutely nothing to do with national defense, if you're going to borrow all this money when the Fed is shrinking the balance sheet, you are asking for a collision. I don't know what day or month is going to occur, but the policy is guaranteed to produce a blow-up.
David, very quickly, because we're out of time. On the flip side, 70% top income rate tax or a big wealth tax, is that the way to balance the budget?
Of course not. The way to balance the budget is to drain the swamp at the Pentagon and cut $100 billion out of the Pentagon, reform entitlements, take the wealthy people off Social Security and Medicare, and stop all all this wasteful domestic spending. That's what you should do. Trump wants to do none of it. The House Republicans don't care. The Democrats want to spend more. The fact of life is that we're going into the 2020s with the baby boom retiring 10,000 a day and the Social Security and Medicare exploding, and everybody in Washington is sitting there whistling past the graveyard.